In 2001, one of the most legendary and addicting games ever came out. And if you spent any amount of time on the internet, you've at least heard the name RuneScape before. Most people get references to it or understand on the surface level what it is, but haven't actually played it. Or people that actually did press install and got hooked just like me. Old school RuneScape, for a game that's old as it is, it's hitting peak numbers in 2025, even though the very first footprints of it were all the way back in 1998. Now, old school RuneScape has had lots of ups and downs, even being shut down at one point before fans came with pitchforks like The Simpsons and made them re-release it again. Now, the game is completely different from when it first released. It can almost be called a different game at this point, with tons of new quests constantly being added, a mobile version making it widely more accessible, and the recent influx of a bunch of World of Warcraft players. This all comes together to make this ancient game hit the numbers it's hitting this year. And a bunch of new players having to go through this early game experience, such as myself. Specifically the free-to-play early game experience, which is much different than when you get a membership right away. The early game is absolute peak in many ways, and also falls short in a lot of ways too. While the game is already legendary and kept itself alive since 2001, there are also a lot of improvements that could be made. Let's jump into the mind of a new player in 2025. Now, when most people launch this game, especially me, it is just total confusion. They actually have a tutorial island now, which they didn't always have in the game, which gives you a good few basics, but once they drop you into the main world, had not a clue of where to go or what to do. You're looking at the UI interface of an F-16, wondering what the hell all these buttons do, but you know how to move. You can at least figure out how to click the damn screen. Now, once you sit down and actually decide to read the info the game is giving to you, and learn that you actually have to read to complete the quests, the game slowly starts to make a little bit of sense. But before that, man, it's like you're staring into straight Gahul, the alien planet in the galaxy over. But once you start doing some quests and getting a little familiar with the land around Lumbridge, pulled the game out at work on your phone to kill a couple cows and level up, this has definitely gotten a few people fired. If you're a modern gamer that's expecting waypoints or the thing to be glowing that you need to click, you're gonna have a rude awakening with this game. Just clicking on the skill tab and seeing how many skills you have to learn gives you anxiety enough. But on top of that, you feel like you got sent on a road trip with no Apple Maps, you just got the paper maps. Definitely doable, but you're definitely gonna go through a short, brain-altering learning curve. And it doesn't help that you have the field of view in the beginning of Silent Hill before you make some changes. Now, a lot of this stuff I expected from a game from 2001, but what did surprise me is all the tiny little details that you have to remember that a lot are surprisingly starting to click for me. But once things do start to make a little bit more sense, a lot of other things start to become more apparent. Now, the early game and free-to-play experience isn't really much of a co-op experience, or really a co-op experience at all. Most, if not all, of the raids and other events you can do with other players are locked behind either membership or just a level restriction. So you and your buddy decide to check out RuneScape, hop on together, and realize all you can really do is run next to each other and maybe attack different enemies separately from each other. Now, while you can run together while you're doing the quest, it's not really a combined effort, and you're probably going to want to end up going off on your own anyways just to explore and learn the game. Now, of course, you can have just talking sessions in the Discord with the homies while you're playing the game in the background, but for the people that expected an almost co-op type online experience, they might be disappointed in the early game, which could drive them away. This is why I said in the beginning of the video that I think there are a lot of improvements they can make, especially in the early game. Like maybe adding a micro raid, or maybe a couple free-to-play co-op mini-games. Now, they did just add a huge expansion to the free-to-play in 2021 with the Ruins of Camdesal, so I definitely think they understand the importance of the early game and the free-to-play experience. But I do think they have overlooked the co-op aspect of it. Now, for those of us that happen to have a friend as an OG in the game that whispered in your ear to download it and start the addiction, you might understand this next segment. Now, luckily, the friend that I hopped on this game with knew this before and didn't fully infobomb me to oblivion. But if you're a vet trying to coach your friend into RuneScape, don't lead them straight into efficiency-scape. This goes for the new players listening too. Don't do it. Try to explore around, do quests, go into shops, see what items they're selling. Now, I'm not saying don't use guides at all, because I don't know who doesn't use guides with this game, except for maybe the first players. Even then, I'm sure they had forums real quick to show you what to do. But what I am saying is if you go straight to trying to be the most efficient and just grindy off rip, you're gonna burn out really quick, especially if you don't familiarize yourself with the world around you and the characters. So play the game a little bit before you watch that hour-long video that explains everything to you. Now, a good bit of the reason why this game is so addicting, especially in the early game, is because of that fast leveling. It almost feels like everything you do, you're getting a new level with confetti flying above you. It gives you enough dopamine rush to maybe spend hundreds of hours in the game. And once you do start to learn the more efficient ways to level and start setting goals for yourself, before you know it, it's dark out and you've been playing for 6 hours. Now, this is another reason why I said you should take it slow in the beginning, because the levels come so fast in the beginning, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're gonna be leveling up. But don't spend your entire early game sitting in cow fields. You'll burn out quick. Now, while you're doing all this leveling, you start to see a recurring trend with all the rewards you're getting. And that's that a lot of them start to say members only. Whether it be a type of fish you can catch or a type of recipe you can cook, this game definitely does a good job of throwing that membership in your face, even from level 1. And no matter how long you want to avoid it, that want of the membership is eventually going to turn into a need if you want to play this game long term. During the early game, you definitely start to recognize this pretty quick. You'll probably walk up to an NPC to try to start a quest just for the members only sign to come up. And the one that hurts the most is all the shortcuts in the world are locked behind membership, and even levels, even if you have membership. So if you do end up getting hooked to this game, just realize you will be getting that membership after a while. Now, there comes a time when all the pieces start to come together. You're not as confused. You know how to use the grand exchange. You start setting little goals for yourself. And eventually, you're damn near playing the game everywhere. You can't watch a TV show without getting your fishing up. Maybe even convince your partner or some of your other friends to even join the game. And this is where the Runescape virus starts to take hold in your city. This is definitely their final plan, to have the whole world sitting in cow fields leveling up their XP. But in all seriousness, it is pretty dangerous how addicting this game can be. Especially now that you can't get away from it now that it's on mobile. Now, I'm not quite too sure how controversial these RuneScape plugins are from this custom launcher, but RuneLite is an amazing program that helps you familiarize yourself with the game quicker and help make the game a bit easier. And with some of the HD plugins, it makes it look like a modern game almost. With plugins like Quest Helper that actually do handhold you through the quests, unlike what I said earlier, and a huge line of community plugins that I'm sure you can find a bunch of uses for. I would say if you're picking up this game in 2025, RuneLite is almost unnecessary, and the second you install it and add some of those plugins, you probably will not be able to go back. Now, for all the OG players that have the nostalgia, the old graphics, and the old look, you don't have to install RuneLite. But for the newer players, I don't see a problem with it. But that was the end of this new players experience video of 2025, and as a new player myself this year, I almost feel like I'm joining the community at one of the best times. Player numbers are skyrocketing, new content's constantly coming out, you post something in the grand exchange, it actually sells, and we have plugins like RuneLite that make me see further than Silent Hill at least. And on top of that, the RuneScape community is mostly a very positive place, unless you go to the PvP side. We don't talk about that. But for a game that was released in the early internet days to be putting up peak numbers all the way in 2025, if that doesn't tell you how good of a game this is, then I don't know what will. So if you haven't ever played RuneScape before, now is a perfect time to join. And if you used to play back in 2007 and quit, it's a perfect time to come back, because I feel that we are going through a major RuneScape renaissance at the moment. But if you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. Also, comment down below some more topics you want me to cover. Could be about RuneScape, other games. I always like to hear ideas. You can also find me over on TikTok, where I was posting pretty consistently, but I gotta get a little better at that. I guess other than that, I'll see you on the next video.